is Real FM.
WhatsApp us today, 442-0175. 91.5 Real FM got you covered.
From many distant lands, our forefathers came, some seeking adventure, some bound in chains. Through battles waged and fought, through victory and pain, by test of their courage, our freedom was gained. In homage to those gone before us, the heroes of lands in the sun, we vow to join hands and to fall.
Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, you can pick up the telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socio-economic issues trending, or any topical issue of the day. And most important, you can interrupt us at any time and introduce your own topic. You see, we believe that this democratic system in Grenada is a good one. I believe we have a better medium to express ourselves in Grenada than anywhere else in the Caribbean. We must make use of it. But this media is not for any specific group, It's for all of us in our country. Irrespective of what command you have on the English language, or your level of intelligence, you could express yourself. We don't have the means on Real FM for sign language, so you could speak to us in sign. But if you could have done that, you would have welcomed to. And today is an important day to say that, Today is the 1st of August, Emancipation Day. After 300 years in slavery, sometimes I wonder why our historians and intellectuals didn't sit down and wonder, why is it took so long for the rest of the Caribbean after Haiti abolished slavery? But all that is in the past. We cannot right all the wrongs of history. And there were wrongs of history, in history. I don't know if you remember when we studied history and we're reading about the Caribs and the Arabs. In some history book, there is the first page. They claim when the Caribs conquered the Arabs because they were the more defensive or aggressive group, they would slaughter the men. They would adopt the little children, the boys, in their midst. And what do you think they did with the women? The women was the spoils of war. So they used them as concubines. But if you go way back in history, the Romans and the Vikings and the Chinese, etc., it's the same thing, When one side believe man, I think sometimes is basically a bully. They like to jump on the weak. But the men would pay the price, they slaughter the men. I guess the old people, they abandon them. The women was used as concubines. And then the young children, they could have adopted them to have them in a lower caste, a lower class. In India, we like to say caste. Even today in India, you have people who consider it a lower caste. So I always tell my brothers and sisters, we don't have to right the wrongs of history. And we don't have to sit down and hate those who have gone before. And those who we thought might have done us wrong. Because throughout Africa, you have that too, You have Islam practicing slavery in Africa before the Europeans. They used to castrate the men. You could go back and look at Argentina and ask what happened to black people. You can't right the wrong of history. We have a whole different value system at every turn. 20 or 30 years ago, it wasn't a big problem if a man have a girlfriend in Form 2 or Form 3. Value system has changed. Today, we say no. At this stage, we must do better. So today is Emancipation Day. We're going to jam, we're going to wine, we're going to dance, we're going to drink. And nothing is wrong with that. Because when you're celebrating, you don't go and lie down in your bed and kneel down and pray when you celebrate. You pray sometime and you go and let go. You enjoy yourself. But it must also be what happened tomorrow. What do we do? How do we? I think it's Marcus Garvey that said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Bob Marley sing it in song, but it was Marcus Garvey quotation. What do we do when tomorrow comes? How do we emancipate ourselves from slavery? We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. Yeah, yes, caller, gone. You just try again, caller. How do we emancipate ourselves from slavery? It can't be by hating people. It can't be by looking for vengeance. It can't be trying to exact justice for 300 or 3,000 years ago. What do we do today to emancipate ourselves from slavery and move on? How do we arouse confidence in our people? As older folks, what do you do in your community? What do you do with your children? All these things are important, you know. It's very important. After the celebration, after the jump up, after the enjoyment, we have a reality to deal with. How do we see emancipation? You know, we look at our children. I always like to focus. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother. Welcome, caller. Go ahead and speak. Yes, caller, you hearing me? It seems as though we lost this caller again. Caller, try again. You see, we, Grenadians, have to have a level of confidence in themselves. They have to look at the mentality and the attitude. We have to stop blaming everybody, including our old slave masters. Slavery existed for about 300 years. Haiti decided to break that yoke a very long time before other Caribbean islands. The Caribbean was emancipated before the United States of America. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, morning.
Right.
Right. What you're saying is so true, right? But the thing about it is, look, I mean, we don't play these things. Yes, I mean, I agree that look, as individuals, I mean, we could do a lot more to emulate ourselves, to advance ourselves. But look, something like you there?
Go right ahead. Yes, listen to you.
Right. Like Emancipation Day, right? Black History Month. I mean, what are we? I mean, do we take these things and look? I mean, Emancipation Day. There isn't a speech. I mean, on a radio. I mean, you have 17 radio stations there. Yeah, I mean, yes, you are there on this radio station every day from 12 to 1. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a national.
Yes, caller. Caller, you're coming in. Maybe you have to try again. You're making a good point, but I gather what you're saying. You expect some official national broadcast, etc., on emancipation. Yes, that could be if you have the level of individuals in politics that believe that is necessary. It may not be politically expedient at this time for the politicians to speaking about emancipation. But my biggest issue is, how do we emancipate ourselves? What do we do? What we want. As an adult, what you want. And a lot of times people say children must make decisions for themselves, but adults have to make decisions for children. You have to take care of your child and bring them to a certain standard where they can handle themselves, where they can prepare for war, because life sometimes is a battle. So what do we internalize? As we internalize emancipation, how do we practicalize it in our home? What do we do? These are some of the issues that perhaps we need more to provoke, and perhaps radio personalities could help in that direction. What do you need to do? What do you need to consider yourself fully emancipated? Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, I'm here again, eh?
Yeah. You're breaking up. Well, why are you breaking up?
I don't know.
Okay, all right, punch.
You have a problem.
All right, go ahead and punch.
Right. Yeah, what I'm saying here, right, is you see, we as a people, right? I mean, it's, yes, as you rightly say, it's time for us to stop blaming other people for our own unfortunate situation or for our own demise or whatever, right? But at the same time, listen, Mr. Pierre, if you have a home and your children is being astray and being destroyed, the home you have a school, right? And at the end of the day, the school is not doing well, you know, and it's low in maths. And is the principal that you have to obey. Any institution, right? You have and at the end of the day, the institution is not progressing and is not doing well. You have to blame the head. So at the end, I'm not saying that, look, as individuals, we could do a lot to improve ourselves, to improve our community or things. What I'm saying is we have leaders, right? We have leaders of a country. Them supposed to set the pace. No? Am I wrong here?
Well, that's what you have leaders for, to set the direction. That's what you have leaders for, to set the pace, set the direction, motivate you.
Exactly. Them have to set the pace. Man, and I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we are really brilliant people, and as you rightly say, we have to instill in our children that look, they are good as any other child, any part of the world, right? We have to.
You break up again, but I got your point, and point well taken. And when we speak of leaders, all the time we go to political leaders. But you have other leaders in the society. You have the civil leaders, you have church leaders, you have leaders in sports, and you have leaders involved in education. So all leaders. But I agree with you. And sometimes we have to have confidence. We have a caller online. Caller, welcome. Caller, welcome. Well, while we wait on that, we lost that caller, but Hudson is saying emancipation is the freedom to be yourself from forms of obstacles. And how do we understand that? Because that's what's important, We make these statements, but our children, and I say our children meaning the future, always have to internalize it and understand it. If we want to break away from freedom from obstacles. So we're free. We could determine what we want to do. We could excel. We could achieve. Then we must know that. And from day one, we have to prepare the future. And who is the future? The children is always the future. Our children is always the future. Remember, the number to call is 442-0175. And as usual, I will read some of your posts on Facebook. So some emphasis must be placed on how do we emancipate ourselves from mental slavery, how we deal with the obstacles in our path. So you look for a good education system. Over the years, I believe our country, Grenada, have tried very good in providing the infrastructure for education. The schools, the teachers, the education system, they would have experimented with different modules, perhaps principally influenced by Europe and communist countries? Are we making the maximum use of it? What is the attitude of our parents? In today's setting, almost anybody who have children in school still, the majority of them been to secondary school. They had a secondary school education. So it's not like yesteryear, when a lot of parents couldn't spell ABAB. And perhaps they used to wield that strap with the hope that they're going to turn the children hide and they're going to beat them to learn. And nothing was wrong with that. Because that, at the time, is what they believe. And the intention was good. In today's society, parents hardly beat. Parents tend to use more psychology or what they get from here and there. Are we getting the results? Are we doing a good job? We have more people that is well educated, whatever that means, well certificated, been to university than any other time in our history. Are we hearing their voices? Are we hearing our psychologists, or sociologists, or people who do humanities? Some of them may not be a psychologist, a qualified psychologist, but because of their educational background, they would have done much more than basic courses in this discipline. And they're able to help our society. Because they want to give the society direction. And sometimes we have to know what we want. I always ask people what you want. What you want in terms of education. What you want in terms of material things. Do you want woman? Well, some man want woman, some woman want man. Well, now we have a society where some man want man and some woman want woman. But all you have to make up your mind what you want. You know, and how do we get there? How do we deal with it? Because all these things will help us achieve what we want to achieve in a much shorter space of time. And I think this is important for us. So I, in my program, like to provoke discussion, particularly encouraging adults to discuss issues with their peers, whether in the rum shop, whether in the community, and most importantly, in your homes. Do we have a session today where parents could sit down with children and talk about emancipation and how they should break away or how they should address the obstacles that affect them? You know, do we do it within our society, within our community, even in our politics in Grenada? Do we tolerate discussion and different views and different ideas? You know, do we have think tanks in our society that will discuss issues? So you have think tanks, or do everything have to be politicized? And some of us have to break away from that. And my brother on the post, education is the beginning of development. But sometimes the educated class can stifle social and political development if or when they create laws to suppress the evolution of society. That is our brother Hudson. Is that happening? Over the years, I've always have a special soft heart for politicians. I believe our politicians in Grenada have tried very well. It is quite true that some of them, when they gave them the baton, they break lead. Some of them, the baton fall off their hand. But from Eric Gary right on to Kit Mitchell, I believe they have tried very well. And all of them have contributed significantly to education. Because almost all politicians recognize that the key to our development and success is education. If that is so, are we satisfied where we are now? Are we satisfied that the education system have provided the results that we expect it to provide? If not, what do we do? Are we satisfied that parents, and don't tell me parents don't have a big part to play, and normally when I say parents, I like to put more emphasis on women. And sometimes I get the wrath of the most beautiful sector of our race, our women. Now, normally, between 0 and 12 years, generally, the woman plays a more impactful part in the life of the child. Between 0 and 12 years. During that period is the formative years of the upbringing of the child. Over 60% of women in Grenada leads the household. And in the instances where men leads the household, they have to get veto, the woman have veto power. They have to have the cooperation of the female for them to lead. So I don't pull punches. I squarely blame or put the responsibility for the children's education in the hands of our women. In addition to that, this system is very supportive of parents today. Very supportive. Our laws, our infrastructure, we are very supportive of the family. So there is no reason, I believe, no justification for the role of the parents not to be much better than it is. Some people may feel, well, we parents try. One parent said to me, you can't make blood out of stone. It's a common statement among parents who seem to have children that are seriously challenged or children that seems not to want to conform to the status quo. They say we can't make blood out of stone. Well, I tell you, in our society, the majority of our people are Christians, and I disagree with you. I say Christians could make blood out of stone. The Bible says if you have faith like a mustard seed, you could command the mountains to move, and it will move. So a parent, you could make blood out of stone. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. We look at the last caller. Sorry, caller. Just call back. Yeah. So what we need within our society, we have to do more. Our parents and elders in the society, and I have a new definition for parents. My definition for parents is anybody over 18 years that could influence children, I consider them as a parent. You sit down and you grow your children, you do all you possibly could, and your children go on the road and next thing they're smoking weed. The parent on the road is so powerful that irrespective of the fact that 0 to 12 years, you had your children under complete control. You teach them about God, you make them pray, they brighter smoke, you give them right food. But as soon as they turn, they meet the parents outside, they welcome. They immediately start to change and influence your child. So I decide that a parent is anybody over 18 years that is able to influence your children. And I think that is how our society have to seriously change it. So parents must want education. They must want children to succeed. And I give people a good reason why it is not your child only that should succeed. Not your child only, but the neighbor's child. Because if the neighbor's child don't succeed and your child succeed, it could well be that your child married the neighbor child. Or your grandchild and the neighbor's grandchild is the same child. And then that's the challenge that we have in society. So I constantly encourage and provoke our people to do not look at you. You have a financial obligation. You have a financial obligation to your children. But I feel you have a moral obligation to all children in this society. You know? So if your children growing up in this society, you want the best for them. But you also need the best for your neighbor's children. It's as if you're planting corn. And all your neighbors have weak corn seeds. But you have the best corn seeds. When pollination takes place, you might still end up with bad results. If as a people, we do not understand that, if that is not part of our DNA, we might behave very selfish to our disadvantage. So I think on this program, you can always give me a call. If you post, I'll read your post. And you could join me at any time, because in our society today, in the Caribbean, particularly among people in the third world countries, it doesn't seem that we understand that we cannot do it alone. We need the assistance of everybody in the community, and we should get involved in some level of discussion with everybody in the community. Do you think that? You think that makes sense? You know, if you think that makes sense, you could join me on that. Whether or not I is responsible for my children alone, yes, I have a financial responsibility. It's me that makes the children. I have to support the child. But do I have a moral obligation for all the children in the community? Is it not in my interest that if I seek the interest of all the children, it will be better for my child? We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, caller. Oh, yeah. We have with us a sister who joins us, and her views is always important, pretty dynamic in terms of her views. So we welcome you. Welcome you to the program. We welcome you to Ontario.
Thank you.
Yes, and we just on the issue of emancipation. I think it's Marcus Garvey that said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Bob Marley popularized it and bring it in song. And I always wonder, how do we internalize that? How do we practicalize that? After we finish the celebration, which is very important, what do we do now to help our people to practicalize the emancipation? What do we do? What in your opinion you think we could do to help our people to understand that they have a responsibility not only to jump up and celebrate, but after to help in the direction that we go?
Well, I start by saying that the same thing that I do with my child. So I have a daughter, and what I do in helping that situation is to educate. So I think it needs to start in the education system.
The government claim that they're doing a lot for education, and I tend to agree that over the years, all governments, all leaders have contributed significantly to education. But generally, I don't think we're satisfied with how our children is. We're not satisfied with the level of education that is going on in Grenada or in the Caribbean, third world countries.
Well, I can speak specifically for Grenada. Our curriculum, I am unsure as to what our curriculum is that will help with this matter. Whether it's in history, I do not know under which subject or whether we have it at all in our curriculum. So for me, if you want my opinion on that matter, I think it starts in the education system, where we have to let our young people understand where we come from, but at the same time they must be able to resonate with what you're saying to them, because to tell a young person that you are African, how can they resonate with this if you do not have more input within the curriculum to teach them that, and also not only to verbalize but also to practicalize as well? how would you go about doing it? For example, Mr. Pierre, when I teach my daughter about herself, the first thing that I do, I said to her, you are not allowed for anyone to call you or for you to identify yourself as black. That's the first thing. Okay? Black is a color. You do not identify people by color. So we start with this, but that's from the family home. So she's not allowed to identify anyone by a color. You don't say black, you do not say white, because the world is not a black and white situation. We have Chinese, we have all other races, okay? We have the Asians, we have everybody. Why is it always a black and white situation, and then the emancipation? So it's like this triangle we always have going on. We need to break that triangle, that system that we have, if you understand where I'm coming from. I'm making sense here.
A lot of sense.
Okay. So, I tell my child a lot of stories, and, she grasps it, and she's only 7 years old. And when you do not identify someone by color, but you can identify yourself by either your ancestors or geographically. For example, we identify ourselves as ancient Ethiopians. We do not call ourselves as Africans in our family home, because Africa is not our original name. It was a name given by the Europeans. Okay? So I started this juncture, and I said, you identify people. If they are from Russia, you identify them as a Russian, as an Indian, or Chinese. And in that way, she has learned so much about herself, her own background, and like a multicultural. She has developed this concept of learning about so many countries, because she has to ask the person, where are you from? And she carries on the conversation from there, so that she will come back to relate that to me. So in that way, you feel empowered, because when you said to me, Mr. Pierre, I see myself as a black man. When you tell me you see yourself as a black man, I see struggle, I see chains, I see oppression, I see victimization, I see a sense of low self-worth, low self-esteem. I see yourself as a woman in charge, being in charge, okay? But when you tell me, like, for example, I'm an ancient Ethiopian man, I see strength, right? I see a ruler, I see an emperor. So I think if we start developing and integrating our children with those kind of information, they will have some more hope within themselves and not feel hopeless and victimized by all these people who supposedly to be our brothers and sisters, who continuously keep going on this parade about like emancipation and black this and black that, using it for profit. Whereas these people who have their PhDs and other form of higher education should be filtering those things within the education system. Instead, they are taking advantage of our people's ignorance to use it for profit, because they continue telling people what they want to hear, keeping them within that narrow tunnel vision. So that's my take on it. I believe that it should start within the curriculum system, within the education system, and we have to empower them, not just tell them verbally, but also to help them to practicalize it, help them to see it.
We have the number to call is 4420175. You can call us and join in on this subject matter or any other topic that you choose to use. It's a whole approach towards educating your children. I normally say when monkey writes his story, monkey always right. Because when I write my story, believe it or not, I won't write things wrong about me. I have serious issues with some of the history that has been taught. And I believe perhaps sometimes I'm not too even supportive of teaching history in the school system. Because the question is, who gets it right? But I want our children to understand that they have to, as a powerful people, have to be achieving and successful. And I have been in discussion with individuals and saying, what do you expect your child to know at 5? What do you expect your child to know at 16? Where that around that time you expect your child to leave school, leave the secondary school to move on to tertiary education. So because of the fact that so much of children in school today, and I dare say the majority, their parents have the minimum secondary school education, one would believe that the parents would be more motivated to push that child. In addition to that, not the parents alone, the community. Because the community should know by now that if my child succeed and the neighbor's child fail, there's a good possibility that my grandchild is the neighbor's. So it is in the community interest to raise the bar and the level of the children in the school. How we get that, how we get these things into people. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, man.
I support what the lady was saying, and I can identify with some of it. For instance, I never like someone to tell me I'm from Africa. That eats me up inside. The moment you mention the name Africa, that I am associated with Africa, I see slavery. I see brutality. Just everything that, someone, they just use you as a ladder to get to where they want. Because I had the opportunity to be living amongst Africans overseas. And believe you me, we from the West Indies, they just use us as a stepping stone to get to where they want. And they call us children of slaves. They don't recognize us as African descendants of slaves. They just say we are children of slaves. Very few Africans will embrace you truly, wholeheartedly. But other than that, it's just surface. It's just surface love to get to where they want information and how to do this and how to do that. Thank you.
Yes, another interesting comment, and we take this one from Facebook. Miss Lady, it is wrong to call, if it is wrong to call a person black, therefore the word Ethiopia is an offense to, because the word Ethiopia means bone skin or black skin, which is a Greek word. And the gentleman saying Hudson, the meaning of the word comet. Yes, so you find all sorts of issues with these terminologies and how people internalize it and how they react to it, So it's a challenge for us, but we must do more to help to educate our children, to get our children on the right trajectory so they will be able to address the challenges that they have with them. Yeah? We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. Come in, caller.
Very interesting program.
Yeah.
Are you hearing me clearly?
Go right ahead. We're hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, wonderful. The issue about color. The lady called 2 times before you. Speak about in educational children, she don't tell them about being black. And the truth is that nowadays, as Grenadian, we scarcely want to identify ourselves as black people. In fact, look around, especially the ladies, and they tell me that they bleach their skin to make them look Wrong instead. They add on to the backside and they add on to the chest to make them look different because they doesn't want to be identified as your regular black people. And most of the offices you go into in Grenada today, the women that are working there are brown skin or we call fair skin women, not black women, because we are prejudiced against our black people. We need to emancipate ourselves from this stigma and slavery, mental slavery, so to speak, because we refuse to hire much black people, so to speak, not Ethiopian here. We speak of black people. We refuse to hire most of them. We put fair-skinned people in the offices instead. Yeah? And they look attractive, yes, to us. In fact, most of them that bleach themselves and so forth is to attract men.
To attract men?
Because that's what goes on nowadays. Yeah, that's what goes on nowadays. So the fact is that this is a part of mental slavery that we need to eradicate in Grenada and do it quickly. Because this is going to pose a problem for our people that we teach them to devalue themselves. We are black. You need to make white children. So we have to hire or occupy ourselves with a fair-skinned man so we can have fair-skinned children, you know, and we could show off with our fair-skinned children. I say fair-skinned, eh? And you know how fight goes with fair-skinned white people and so on. We go outside there, we get a white man and they make us get retail outside there, and that's what happened. So I think we need to emancipate ourselves. We don't need those eyebrows. In fact, recently when they were talking about building factory in Grenada, I said this is a good factory to build in Grenada, building body parts for women. Bottom, chest, eyebrow, and hair. The fact is that the hair that they put on the head, they don't even know where the hair come out, which animal or which dead people they come from, but they have it occupying themselves. They're looking nice. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Colonel.
Thanks, Mr. Pierre. I'd just like to interject a little bit. What the gentleman said is exactly the point I was trying to make. So let me just clarify a bit. When we use the word black, where did black derived from? Who called us black to begin with? And we were called black, okay? But then, the connotation and the stigma that was attached to black continues. The legacy under this black continues, and the legacy under white continues. And the world is going ahead as though the world is just a black and white situation. How do you call a Chinese? Do you identify a Chinese person by color? Do we identify an Indian by color? Why we have to identify ourselves as black? So if you identify yourself as black, and what is the legacy of black or the stigma, the connotation that is attached to black, why would you want to carry yourself like this and not have the expectation of being ridiculed? If you do not carry yourself under this connotation, you probably would not be ridiculed, because although you may still be called black, but you would be more empowered in not identifying or responding to the word black. Have I shed some clarification on this? Because you're going for a job in the bank, and you go, oh, because I'm black, I can't get a job. So you went in there already with this mentality, under this connotation. So once you're being rejected, it is because of your color.
We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, is either we believe in evolution or creation. Now, I believe in creation. And the creator of heaven and earth tells us that he took dirt from the earth and he created one man, Adam. And from that man, Adam, he took bones, he took bone and flesh, and he created the woman. Therefore, I believe in one human race. The problem is that One man come and he said that he's white. And he tell the next man, you're black. Now, rather than looking at yourself in a mirror and see if what he's telling you is the truth, you accept that you're black and he white. You know, I spent many years searching for white people. And until today, I don't find one. I've been searching for black and I can't see no black. Because even looking at you and the lady on the screen, you know, what I can see is brown, different shades of brown, right? So this is the biggest lie that Satan ever sold to the world, and people take it line, hook, and sinker. Like the creator who created man tell us to prove all things and to hold fast to that which is good. Racism is an evil thing, and what I realize is that people of African descent helping those who spreading this racial ignorance to promote it. Because, like the Creator say, out of one blood, He create all nations of men. If I need blood now, I'm in the hospital, they don't have to check what color of skin. All they do is to match the blood type, because we are all created. All of us come from the one man Adam. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Color.
You're welcome.
I like the idea you said about the blood. When they're going to do, they only use blood type. They don't check on color.
I do not think that we should be identifying ourselves as by a color. And I really think it helps. Sometimes I have friends or colleagues who would say to me, oh, what, are you afraid, are you ashamed to be black? I said, no, but I am more than a color. So I do not want to be identified as a color. And they would be upset with me. I changed my name. Why did you change your name? Because I do not want a name that was given by the slave masters. Also, what, you think Indians were not slaves as well? They may have well be, but they have the name. So why I would go with who I can identify with? I cannot be identified with the slave name. And nothing is stopping anyone from changing their name from the colonial master's name. Nothing. Those things burden us. We have it. How did we come about by it? Emancipate yourself from all of this. Stop identifying yourself by color. Stop bringing yourself into the connotations of the struggle and the chains. See yourself as more than that. If you have to know yourself, you have to start with knowing yourself, where you come from, and your own history. My history about myself, just like this. You have to start in the present and go back. Many people will say to me that you need to let your daughter know that she is an African. And I said, no, she is British. Her parents are from the Caribbean, and she have ancestors who probably came from Africa. She have to be able to identify with her present. She has never been to Africa. She do not spend much time in Grenada. How can she identify with this to be confident and project herself? So when she goes out there, no one cannot say to my daughter in front of me that she needs to work 10 times harder than a white person. No, she has the same chances as anyone else out there. You just have to go for it. You have to believe in yourself and go for it. The moment time you start putting obstacles in your way by other people's experiences, we're going to keep being in that vicious cycle. So when are we going to break that vicious cycle? I wanted to break mine, so I started with my daughter. There are other parents, their children said to them, I'm confused. 1 minute you say I'm Bajan, then you said I'm British Bajan, then you said I'm...
We have a call on the line. Let's see that call. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Right. Okay, somehow, I understand what the lady is saying there. But I think okay, like if you read of the one of some of the world's greatest inventions, right? It wasn't done by African people. No, I don't know.
Oh, you want to know if Africa? Some people claim is the cradle of civilization. Africa as a continent have a population big as China, so a lot of the discoveries in the world obviously will be made by them. Yes, caller? Oh, that's all.
Mr. Pierre, there's something that I would like to share. I would also like to share that slavery was not a black and white situation. There were white slaves, there were Chinese who were slaves. It was an international trade, it was an international business. But somehow, it was narrowed down to a black and white situation.
The majority of slaves were black during this 300 years. So even if slavery existed among different ethnic groups, but the majority of slavery was among black people, and that was the worst form of slavery.
Well, I may be wrong, and you can double check on that. But from my research, I think I remember that the Jewish people were slaughtered more than there were more Jewish people who were lost than African slaves. I remembered that case. It was a legal case. I think it was Gilbert and Gilbert, where at a point in time, there were insurance given for slaves that was lost during the slave trade. So when I look at the whole picture before me, right, I tend to ask my own self, and this is just my opinion and my own research, right? What I've done. I ask myself, how can someone lose so many people at sea? Okay, you have a ship that is leaving Africa. I think we have.
Let's take this caller. Yes, caller, welcome. Caller, welcome. Punch.
Mr. Pierre,
go right ahead.
Where is this lady getting her information from? Because totally, she doesn't have the facts right. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm not here to ridicule her, but I'm just here to educate her. In the first place, 26 plus million black Africans were slaughtered, transporting across the world. 26 million. 4 million Jews was killed by Hitler. So she needs to get her facts straight. And the second thing that she just said that was wrong, totally wrong, that is not only black people that was enslaved. Well, let me tell her something. If she wants some good information, I will tell her that white people was never enslaved. And she tells me the era and when was white people enslaved, then I'll shut my mouth. But right now, I'm about to tell her that black people, yes, Indian was enslaved at one point in time. Black people was the real slave trade was among black people, and I'm gonna explain one thing to you. And the misconception is that we were enslaved by white people. That is not true. That is a myth. Okay, we were enslaved because our foreparents, who were Israelites, disobeyed God, and God cursed the Israel nation. We are Israelites that came from Africa, and we were traveled. We were put into ships, as the Bible says in Deuteronomy 28. We were put in ships and was sold, okay, in slavery. White people was never put in ships and sold in slavery. The people that call themselves Israelites or Jews in Israel right now has never been enslaved and never been put in ships. So if she believes in the Bible, she needs to go back and learn the Bible. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, well, sometimes it's difficult to speak about slavery and without getting Papa God. Yes, go right ahead. You have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead.
The African slave trade it wasn't the Europeans who started enslaving Africans. It was the Arabs. And even after the end of the European slave trade, the Arabs continued. Now, there is a gentleman who wrote a book, History of Islam and Muhammad by John. His name is spelled Allembillah, Azuma, Azumah. And the book is named the Legacy of Arabs, Islam in Africa. And the information that this gentleman produced clearly states, and even other historical sources, even from the BBC, clearly shows that the Arabs was the one that first started enslaving the African slaves, and then the Europeans bought slaves from the Arabs, and even at the end of the European slave trade, the Arabs continued to enslave Africans. Thank you.
Well, let me just read this one. You're going to respond, but let me read this one from Hudson. Black people invented many things, including the cell phone. The problem is that black people don't own large business. Miss Lady, do you know how many black people were enslaved by the Arabs and the Europeans? So slavery is a very emotional thing. When you hear you touch slavery, and you hear you touch the thing, and Papa God come and the devil come, it makes it really interesting. Now you want to respond to that?
Well, from the start, I did say that it was subjected to be corrected, and you have various forms of research out there. What I do find amongst from my culture is that you can have various forms of research, various forms of information out there, but somehow we are subjected to holding on to the victims that victimize us, those that sort of kind of give us that freedom of mentality that shows a different form of being. We do not gravitate to it. Who on earth ever said that? We are victimized. Who are we to just keep saying that we are victims? And we continue looking for information to justify this, instead of looking at the freedom that is ahead of us, grasping it, and taking control and taking that responsibility. Most people do not want that form of responsibility. They do not want to look at themselves in the mirror, because to take that form of responsibility is to do something about it. In not having to do anything about it, somebody have to be blamed for where they are. Somebody have to be blamed for what they are feeling. I understand the emotional turmoil. Okay? I'm not saying no, that we never went through this. All I'm saying is, we are not victims. So we need to stop looking for research to justify that we are victims. There are research out there to show how free we are. Why do we have to get upset looking at freedom? Why? Why are we afraid to take that step? Again, it probably goes back to the education system, because we've been taught that somebody is responsible for where I am. Somebody is responsible for me not having a car. Somebody is responsible. Why do we have to keep seeing ourselves as a victim? The freedom, let us stare at freedom before us. Let us look for the research to justify that freedom. But we keep holding on to how many years ago. How are we going to move forward? And those who move forward, we always have the negative connotations as to why this person has advanced in life. It's the freedom. A lot of people who have advanced in life is because they have made that step to take responsibility. They have researched, they have gained information to know that freedom is ahead of them.
We just read this one from Facebook. There are 3 different classifications for Africans: Bantu, Nilo, Kosh. The slave masters and colonizers targeted the Bantu Africans because Bantu blocks are the strongest Let me read it. Yeah, let me get it right. Bantu blocks are the strongest human being. We are Bantu Africans in the diaspora. So a lot of issues some people believe would put it down straight off an economic issue. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yes. I'm calm down now, and I just wanted to address
Right, I'm glad you calm
your
down.
guest.
I'm glad you calm down. Let's go now.
I want to ask her. I want to ask her a question because these things get me hot when I see things like that.
But we don't want to get.
It really gets me.
We
mad
don't
because
want to
these
get
things. So I'm
hot
calm
on
now,
this
and I
program.
wanted to ask a question. The question is, ma'am, have you ever lived in the United States of America?
Listen, watch me. We don't want to get hot on this program. We want to use it as a good platform to exchange ideas. We don't want to get hot. Don't get hot.
No, I just want to. I just want to ask her a question because
Before
she's
you ask
saying
me the
things like,
question,
"Oh, there is freedom out there." I agree, there is freedom out there. But let me tell you something: the physical slave trade may have ended, but the mental slave trade still exists here in the United States. I've been living here for almost 40 years, okay, with an education, and I have several friends that has degrees, masters and bachelor's degrees, and still having the same problem, going and look for the job and can't get the job because of the color of their skin. So don't tell me it doesn't exist because
Hold.
I lived
Yeah.
it, ma'am.
okay.
I lived it and I know what I'm talking about. So I
That,
just want to let you know that.
yes, and I agree with you to a certain extent. However, that is the point I am trying to make. Why are we always trying to fit ourselves under someone else's umbrella? Are you trying to say that our own black brothers and sisters are the ones turning us away? Because we are intelligent. You just said who has PhD, who has masters, who have bachelors. Now you said to me, why can't we have our own? Why can't we form our own? We are very intelligent people. We are free. So why do we always have to go to people who keep turning us away? So again, what I am saying, we have to look at ourselves. We have to come back to ourselves. Stop blaming. And the same people we are blaming are the same people we are going to. Okay?
Yes, I
So
understand
why
what you're
can't
saying,
we-
ma'am.
okay,
But
so
here is
why
one of the
can't
points
we
I'm
come
trying to get to.
together? And I understand
There are businesses in the United States that are black owned, but the majority of businesses here are owned by Caucasian, European, Jews, whatever.
okay, and
Those are the people that own it. I am not saying no. Let me finish. Let me finish. I am not saying that we're not supposed to own our businesses, but when you go to the bank and you get a kickback because you're black and you're trying to open a business and they're hitting you hard because you don't have the finance. We weren't born with a gold spoon in our mouth. So we have to go to the bank and the establishments to lend money from them. For let me give you one little example. One of the first established Wall Street in the United States was run by total black people. And you know what happened to it? It was burned to the ground. The whole city was burned to the ground because of that. So I am trying to explain to you that you are in a situation that you don't know. You don't know what we are going through here in the United States. You know how much time people with good credit, 800 scores, and try to go get a loan in the bank to start a business and still get turned down? But that is what I'm talking about. You inexperienced it, so you would not know about it. That is exactly what I'm talking about. It's easy to sit on a chair and say, oh, we need to open our own business. But if you're not in the kitchen, you're not going to feel the heat.
Sir,
Okay?
I understand
Thank you
what
for the
you are
call,
saying.
Mr. Pierre.
All right. Thank you, caller. Yes, sir.
I understand perfectly well what he is saying. And this is why I keep saying is we keep looking for all the research that justifies victimization. Let us look for research that can make us build. Why can't we have our own banks? And furthermore,
We try that.
we tried, but who keep deceiving us? We are trying, but who do you think on our platform is deceiving us? We keep trying, but where is it going wrong? If we keep trying, why do you think it is not materializing?
Because this world was designed to keep these Israelites down. We are the original Israelites, and the world was designed. Christianity started to be designed to in that way to keep us blind and to keep us down, and it's going to continue until the Savior returns.
All right, thank you, Color.
Take it in a nutshell.
Yes, thank you, Color. Yeah, it's an interesting situation we have in the Caribbean. We know almost all the business in the Caribbean are run by black people. Perhaps some of them are own expatriates, but most of them are black managers. Brazil have the most Africans outside of Africa, and the United States of America have the most Africans outside of Africa after Brazil. So I tend to believe that the United States, and I say that based upon the statistics, that the United States is the most tolerant country, one of the most tolerant countries in the world to black people. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Yeah.
Yes, caller, go ahead.
So, look, lady, I understand what you're saying, right? And you know, I mean, I give you credit, okay, to a lot of things what you're saying. But listen to what listen to what the previous caller said. The previous caller said that the first Wall Street business in America was owned by black people and it was burned to the ground, right? And this and listen, and this is history. So the thing about it is, what you're saying, yes, it have a lot of merit. It have a lot of merit. Black people must rise to the occasion. But I am telling you that this system in which we are in here now, which we born and grew and nurtured in, right? It was designed to be in a particular way, and it would not change. No matter we even we walk on water, it would not change. It was designed to be in a particular. Yes, we could write. We could do a lot of things. We could do X. We could do Y. We could do Z. But I am telling you, it was designed to be in a particular way, and it would not change until such time.
Okay, caller. Thank you, caller. I don't agree that things cannot change. Anything could change. And we could change anything.
Exactly.
We have to have confidence in ourselves. We have to believe in ourselves, and we could change it.
Exactly.
The callers say that black people didn't have a gold spoon. Africa have all the gold, maybe in the ground. They have gold, they have diamond, they have oil, they have the most resources in the world. In terms of population, Africa have people just as China or any country in the world. Brazil have the most black people outside of Africa, and the United States comes second. And I've always believed and said that United States is the most tolerant country in the world to black people in the developed world. More than Canada, more than England, more than Russia, China, and Japan. So we're supposed to be leading in the United States of America. We're supposed to be leading.
Mr. Pierre, I would like to share something.
Go right ahead.
I came to Grenada at one time with a project plan, and I went to various ministries. I went to various established organizations in this country, and to no avail. I started, reaching out to people outside, like yourself, speaking about, or Andre, speaking about the obstacles that I was having. I met other people, we had conversations as to what can be done about it. And it was sad that, to see so many local people were saying to me, you have to get a white man to front that business for you. You have to get a white man to go and speak for you. And this is happening in my birth country. Okay? So if it is happening right here in my birth country, who do you want to do it for you? How can you expect it from someone else? So when you are doing it to your own, right, what do you expect from someone else? So my point is, we have to be able to look for research that can help us to conquer that mindset. And the calls that we are getting, yes, I'm not saying no, I'm not disputing the things that have happened. Okay? But I'm saying we can all fall in a well for whatever reason. It could have been the sea that got us in there, the river, someone pushed us. Whatever the reason, we got in that well, and we stayed in that well for 100 years. Okay? And we want to get out. Our aim is not, when we are in that well, our mindset is not about what got us here, but how can we get out? And that is what I would like to see within our education system. Not keep going back in time, reminding ourselves, building back our emotions, leaving with that 400, 200, yet, sometimes we have to think now, okay, we are in this well. How can we get out? Are we going to be putting one person down, climb on the shoulders to get to the top and help the others up? Or are we just going to, when one person tries to get out, we're just going to keep pulling them down? So we have to look at what is causing us to be in this situation here and not say that we cannot get out.
Yes, thank you very much. As we come in, winding down to the end of the program, pretty interesting topic. Is a topic we'll go after again. Jesus Christ coming, Satan coming, Africa coming, and we love that. And Hudson, I'm going to read that last post from you. Miss Lady, we cannot change the world overnight. You kind of sounding like Candice Owen. Miss Lady, please do your research on Paradise Valley and how the white people destroy black business in Detroit. Today is the 1st of April. Sorry, 1st of August. Today is the 1st of August. And today we're celebrating Emancipation Day. And we're going to celebrate. We go jump up. We go wine. We go play jab. We go dance. We go eat. We're going to drink. That is one aspect of this celebration. How are we going to break this cycle? How are we going to rearrange our attitude and our mentality so that we have confidence in ourselves? We have confidence in our people and our leaders. And we believe that we could address all our challenges and be extremely successful in the world. You want to have the last punch of it, a few seconds. Go right ahead.
Well, we are celebrating emancipation, and I think celebrating emancipation is not just holding on emotionally to all the atrocities that took place, but we should also look at freedom ahead of us and also jump and drink and enjoy that freedom is ahead of us, and let us try to get on that mentality of freedom.
Thank you very much, and we're back with you again tomorrow between 12 and 1. Thank you.
From many distant lands, our forefathers came.